What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Swingman podcast. It's podcast number 151. I don't actually know if it's that one. It could be 150 or 152, but we're here. We have finally reached the promised land. We've reached the postseason. The playing tournament is on the horizon. And one of my favorite podcasts every year, I'm sure you two will agree as well, when we sit down and we discuss, our playoff bracket, where we will pick the flawless bracket and we will never get any of them wrong, just like we do at the start of the year when we pick a team's over and under. As ever, if you're new here, actually, I'm your host, Jordan Edger, joined as I am all the time by Louis Halpin and Lewis Howard to help me break down this entire playoff bracket as we go through it. But before we get into that, as always, how you boys doing?
Yeah, all right, mate.
United get smacked yesterday. That wasn't great, but Louis probably laughing because of the Champions League.
No, it's not a
real dichotomy though.
Not over to the fat lady sings and Fiorentino Perez ain't singing yet. But yeah, we're in the midst of strong hay fever season. For me anyway, I'm feeling terrible.
I was going to say I haven't had. Sometimes I got hay fever last year. For like the first
different
time, I
started
a few things. Yeah, it might be different pollens, different strokes for it.
You're getting in the weeds of hay fever.
Yeah, I've not had it yet. Maybe it's on the horizon for me.
It will be.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that one then. But what I am looking forward to, and what a cringy segue that's going to be, is the NBA playing tournament. I think we all agree, playing tournament, largely speaking, has been a pretty much big success in terms of keeping the regular season somewhat more competitive than it would have been. I know there's a big gap in terms of win totals between some of the sort of 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 seedings, but it has provided a competitive element that had been lacking, and it's now always spoken about towards the sort of latter end of the season, especially on the last day in the West. There was quite a lot to play for. The East, not so much. Obviously, it was all locked in. But these playing games, I think every year, for as long as I can remember anyway, I can't really remember any dud ones. They're always somewhat competitive, I feel.
We've had some fun moments.
I think as a whole, any bit extra playoff basketball that isn't obviously massively affecting some of the more important teams, then generally you're going to be pretty happy about. Obviously, the top teams will then play some of these teams, but I don't think that's really shaken up too many people's first round predictions. Maybe one in the West, obviously, we'll come to, but I will say this year, I think I said it on the last podcast, the play-in for the West does look a bit crap. So we'll get to that, but it's not going to be the most exciting ones, I don't think, this year.
Well, we had the Miami Heat come through in the play-in tournament, right? They got to the finals. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's was that the same season where was it like DeRozan's daughter or something was like heckling the Toronto Raptors when they're doing free throws?
I think so.
Yeah, it was that one. So I'll quickly show this as well. So this is the play-in tournament, sort of as we see it right now. And then we will go into this version here and we'll do our pick and bracket challenge that is on NBA.com and all that sort of stuff. But for the time being, I have lost the tab. We will jump back to this one. And I think we wanted to start in the West. Was that correct?
Yeah.
So we'll start in the West. Potentially, I think there's going to be a little bit more on there. So the way the play-in tournament works, the winner of 9 and 10 will play the loser of 7 and 8, and that then plays the number 1 seed, the winner of that bout there. Kings Mavs is where we're going to start. Who have you got in this one and why? I'm going to go to you, Lewis Howard, first.
Not too enthralled about this one, to be honest, but I'm going to go with Sacramento because obviously the Mavs are down a few players and I don't think they've been too great as of late. The Kings haven't either, to be honest, but they do have a full roster at least. So, I'm just going to side with the Kings on this one.
Yeah, I'm tempted to side with it just because I feel like in a one-game scenario, DeRozan, Levine, things will get a bit close. That's kind of okay to lean upon a little bit. And the Mavs is just such bad vibes. You have to feel for the fan base slightly. But I kind of agree with this either way. I wouldn't be surprised. And whoever is going to win this one, we'll get into whoever wins this and then 7 and 8. But yeah,
I think an AD will make this a very, very tight game. But I think the home court will be quite a big factor for the Kings in this one here. I think they just ultimately got a bit too much. If Kyrie Irving was fit, I would be taking the Mavs and I wouldn't even batter an eyelid at that one. I'm not going to lie, but I also don't think the Mavs would have the 10th seed if Kyrie was fit. I think
No.
they might have had home court in this one, and it'd be completely different in any case. But I think I should really go with the Kings, but I think a healthy AD does mean I wouldn't be surprised if the Mavs win in a one game on this one here, is all I'll say.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So we'll go for the Kings making this one. Now, the juicier matchup from the West. We've got Warriors Grizzlies. Obviously, Draymond Green selling hard in overtime for the Warriors in this sense here. And, that loss to the Spurs in the regular season, I think it was on the penultimate game of the season. It was a bit of a crushing blow for them in the seedings here. I think this is going to be a really good game. Warriors Grizzlies going back in from my memories. Warriors Grizzlies is always a good game. Who have you got going through on this one? I'll go to you, Louis, first.
It's just a slightly different. Like when you talk about those old battles, I had that playoff series obviously a couple of years ago, and things were not. I don't think the Grizzlies were ever going to win, but it felt like quite competitive, and they obviously didn't really like each other. And it was like the young Bucks trying to overthrow the old guard, really. I have liked the Warriors since the Jimmy Butler trade a lot. That trade, I think, was kind of that was never going to lose for them, really. And it wasn't going to lose for him either, given the scenarios in Miami. And I think they'll be very, very well. Obviously, they'll be motivated to win this game, but the difference between getting the 7th seed here and the 8th seed is you're like out in the first round probably, or you got a puncher's chance really if you playing the Houston Rockets, who haven't been here before, and that's something that I think at least the Golden State Warriors would fancy. I'd go for the Warriors because the Grizzlies they just don't beat good teams. Just look at their record of teams over 500. It's not very good. Fired their coach, a bit of disarray. But when you got sort of Ja Morant, particularly Ja Morant, I know they've got Jaren Jackson, but Ja's got the superstar talent that could make this interesting. But I think the Warriors are a better unit overall.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd go with the Warriors as well. I think the Grizzlies haven't been particularly great as of late, and they've tailed off. Obviously, we know what happened with the coach, and probably as a result of that we're ended up where we are with them. But they're still a decent team. We've got good players, but the Warriors, I think, will have too much for them.
Yeah, I've been slightly concerned with the Warriors in the last few games. Like I said, obviously that defeat to the Clippers was a bit, the Spurs one was very shaky. But I think in general, since Jimmy's been there, they've been a sizable uptick in how they play. And in a one-game situation, I will take the Warriors for this. And, against the Rockets, again, this is a 4-game difference in the regular season. So even though it's a 7-2 seed, it's not a traditional 7-2 seed. The West has just been a little bit crazy apart from the Thunder this year in terms of where you're seeing teams.
Yeah, if that series does go as it is, Warriors versus Rockets, I would like to see what the odds are on that. It'd be interesting.
Indeed. Okay, so we're going to have the Warriors going into the 7th seed, and we're going to have the Grizzlies playing the Kings for the matchup to go and play the Thunder. Are any of us here going to say the Kings are going to beat the Grizzlies? I personally am going to take the Grizzlies in that one. I'm not going to really go into it too much, but that's where I'd be.
No, I'd take the Grizzlies as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's much in it, but yeah.
Cool. So I think what we'll do is we'll have the Grizzlies playing the Thunder, the Warriors playing the Rockets. I think we tidy up the East playing stuff, and then we can jump straight into this, and then we know who's our sort of, because obviously the way they've done this here is you can do it in that sense. So we'll dive back over to the East. We'll take Bulls Heat, which seems to be the play in every single time we ever talk about the East. It's these 4 teams with the play in. I don't actually remember who it is off the top of my head every time, but it does seem to be. It's always the Magic, the Hawks, the Bulls, and Heat. 3 out of the 4 of them in any.
Might get like a Raptors or a Brooklyn every now and then.
But it seems to be at least 50% make the play in every single year for it.
Definitely the Heat and Bulls.
Agreed. So Heat now obviously without Jimmy Butler, but the addition of Andrew Wiggins against the Chicago Bulls, who, for what they ended up sort of moving away from in that DeRozan, that sort of that era that they had with him and Levine, there's been flashpoints. That win over the Lakers, sort of when they split that series, there's been moments there. But do you have the Bulls beating the Heat, even with the home court advantage that they've got there?
I would have the Bulls beating the Heat personally. And again, I don't think there's that much in it, and I don't think it's going to be a hugely entertaining game. But I just think they've got a little bit more to them. It's just a shell of a Miami Heat team. It's not the one, you see that name and you think, oh, they've got something in them. But Bam's been bad this season. Tyler Hero's really the only standout or like positive sign they can probably take from this season, to be honest. And I like, Kobe White, Josh Giddey. They've got a lot of people who I don't think are going to be too phased in sort of like a pressure scenario, if you're going to even count it as that much of a pressure scenario. I'd go for the Bulls on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Kobe White and Josh Giddey really stepped up quite a lot this season, especially we've had some monster Kobe White games, and I think there's been a bit of a shift of how people have been viewing the Wolves. Obviously, we had the Levine, DeRozan stuff, especially the Levine stuff, kind of looming over them for a few seasons now. When they left, everyone thought, okay, well, that's that. We're in the next Bulls downward trajectory, and we've seen some people emerge just giving everyone a bit of a positive outlook for them. Whereas the Heat, I think, are definitely on the other side, or the promising stuff. They really are in the downtick right now. I look, obviously, Bam and Tyler Hero, you have faith in, but looking at the Heat as a whole, it just doesn't give you confidence. So I'm just going to go with the team. I think I've just got a bit more confidence about them, the bit more positive atmosphere around it. So yeah, I'll go with the Bulls as well.
Yeah, I want to pick the Heat all for the reasons that we've spoken about earlier in terms of just that sort of the name that is attached with Miami and the Heat in terms of how they play. But unless I see Tyler Hero having like one of his best career games, I actually just think this will be quite routine for Chicago. I think they'll put sort of some form of fight up, but I don't think Andrew Wiggins is particularly healthy. If he was 100%, I think it'd be a bit of a factor. But yeah, I don't think Bam's been amazing. And I think Chicago will just have a little bit there. I mean, it's going to be rocking for Chicago in any case. But the sad thing is, whoever wins this game doesn't really mean too much, I think, this year. But anyway, we digress from that one. So we'll have the winner of them going in and playing the loser of the Magic Hawks. I think both of these teams are comfortably better than both the Bulls and the Heat, is what I will say. I will take both of those regardless of it. And I've actually found this one to be the hardest one to decide out of all of the playing games, because I think Paolo Banchero has been unbelievable this year. I don't think anyone will really sort of question that. The numbers that he's put up, he's a streaky shooter, but he's been amazing for them. Franz Wagner's chipped in every now and then. Again, he's been a little bit more streaky in terms of his box scores that he's been putting up. But I don't know what it is about Atlanta. I just can't ever seem to think, especially this year now, I just think they're a little bit short-handed. I think Risa Shea's been good in very, very streaky points. Like, he's had flash games here and there. He had like that 38-point game and so on and so forth. But it just doesn't seem they are as ready to compete in a playoff game as the Magic would be. I think the Magic will make it very grit and grindy and slow it down, is how I'd see it. So I'd actually have the Orlando Magic going through over the Hawks.
It's a tough one because I think it's been a very dysfunctional season for the Magic. Obviously, they've had a lot of people out, or they've had some of their main players out. There was that period where obviously Franz Wagner had to carry the team for quite a few games. So, and then when I look at the Hawks, I do think, there's some players there that have been a real shining light for them. Obviously, Dyson Daniels is still in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. So, as you say, I actually do think this is a struggle and which one I'd pick. And I think I'm just going to go with the Magic and with them being the 7th seed. I think that will give them the edge.
I was going to pick the Hawks actually, but it doesn't matter because we have to have a majority vote here to go for it. But that Magic offense is just so putrid. Whereas I think the Hawks will be like they're like a sieve on defense, obviously, with Trey and stuff like that. So they'll let points go, but I just think they'll be able to. It's basically like defense versus offense, really. And I kind of fancy the Hawks to outscore them a little bit in that, but I don't think there's that much in it, and I'm kind of happy to go with the Magic if that's what you two are going for.
Indeed. I think that's close. I just think that this will be one of those games where it's like both teams might not even score 100 points. I think it's going to be one of those really sluggy games in the playoff one, especially if Trey doesn't get going early. If Trey slumps, if he misses his first 3 or 4 shots, I think it'd be quite bad for the Hawks, whereas the Magic can sort of rely on that comfortable mid-range game with Paolo just sort of attacking the rim. But Anyway, so we'll have the Magic going in to the 7th seed playing the Celtics. Then we'll have the Hawks playing the Bulls. I will have the Hawks beating the Bulls. I will say that.
Yeah, I think we kind of do. We all agree on that, or
Yeah.
A little smirk there.
It's just there is a couple players on the Bulls team. I think
I do get what you mean.
Strides this year, and I think they've got a decent amount of size as well. The Bulls, sorry, but I think.
Why don't we have a bit of fun and throw the Bulls in there just for a bit of fun?
I've already decided the Hawks, so that's too bad.
One thing I will ask: do you want to win this first playing game? Would you rather play the Cavs or the Celtics first? I mean, you're going to lose either way. Let's be fair.
Oh, you'd rather play the Cavs 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think either of these teams is going to be trying to big brain it enough to think let's try and lose this, but then beat the Bulls or Heat. I don't think they're going to try and win the game just to secure a seed.
They're not good enough to be able to have that, because I remember us talking about this a few years ago with the Lakers. The Lakers at one point, yeah, and their team was much better than these two are. So
it was when they were doing it to potentially avoid playing Denver. And there was serious discussions on like ESPN as if the Lakers should throw the first game and try and win the second. It's like, you can't do that. It's like, it'd be so stupid to do it. So, I think we'll have the Magic playing the Celtics, and then we'll have the Hawks playing the Cavs. Okay, so we'll switch back over to this one now. So we had, who did we have playing the Thunder here? The Grizzlies. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
And we spoke all about that, and we're going to pick the Thunder here. I think the only question here is in how many for the Thunder against the Grizzlies? In 4?
I think they're sweet.
4 games.
You don't think they're going to get 1?
No, I think the Grizzlies.
I would have gone a gentleman's. I would have gone a gentleman's sweep, is what I'd have said. But hey, again, majority stuff.
There are 4-ish teams, I think, in the West that the Thunder struggled a bit against in the regular season. They were outright flat track bullies against the rest of the West. So
that's
the
completely
Grizzlies
fair enough.
Can't beat anyone good. It's that, lot going on there. Let's just say.
We'll keep that one short and sweet. Nuggets Clippers. Now this is a juicy series, an absolutely juicy series is what we'll say for this one. What the cool thing is about the NBA Pick and Bracket Challenge is we can actually see where the majority is, where the hive mind is, shall we say? And 59% of people have got the Nuggets. Do you two concur?
It's an interesting one, because I remember saying on the last podcast, the way things were looking, I was like, oh yeah, the teams I'm going to be picking, I thought the playing was going to be boring, and then the teams in the first round looked like they were going to pick themselves. But the way it's gone after the few games after that, it's got quite interesting with a couple of the series. And I do think, especially just because Mike Malone got fired, this is quite a difficult one. I think I don't think he's playing it safe to much. I think this is a real 50-50. I'm going to go with the Nuggets. I just think Kawhi has been playing unbelievably well, don't get me wrong, but it's Kawhi, it's harder than it's the Clippers in the playoffs. I've been seeing it so many times, whereas I look to Jokic and how he's performed in the playoffs. Obviously, Jamal Murray has been injured at times, but he's always performed well in the playoffs. I think MPJ had a massive series last year. So even with the dysfunction there and I think the Clippers just got to 50 wins, didn't they? So I know there's the Jokic 50-win teams in the playoff narratives, because I think he's played like one of them and lost. But I'm going to go with the Nuggets just.
I mean, earlier today, I think I was quite laissez-faire. I was like, I think I'm going to go for the Clippers in that one. Just because, I mean, they have been, I think since March, the best team in the NBA. I don't think that's really debatable. The sort of records over that time show that. And Kawhi, when he's in this type of form, is, you'd say like because they've got Jokic, they'll probably get through because they've got the best player in the series. And I do still think Jokic is the best player in this series, but Kawhi, when he's playing at his apex level, is very, very close. Like, he's in a similar type of vein. And they have more players. The Clippers do have more players, and I'm not sure who the Clippers throw at Jokic. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, it'll be Zubac, and he's going to foul himself out probably within the first half. But I really don't know who the Nuggets, vice versa, throw at Kawhi, and that's not even taken into account James Harden. And then like there's this whole Russell Westbrook thing going on, this dynamic, strange. I'm going to go for the Clippers. I think they've got the momentum on their side here, and I really don't think Denver do. And obviously their coach got sacked. Their coach got sacked. Long-term coach. I don't know how long he was there for. Quite a period of time. It just doesn't. The vibes do not feel great there at the moment. But you've always got a chance when you've got who should be the MVP but won't be.
Yeah. I mean, I will say as well, just a one quick addition for George makes the deciding vote for us. The home court would usually make you say, like, if you're on a 50-50, oh, Denver have got a home court, they usually tipped over for you. They've probably had less of an advantage with their home court this season than they have in quite a few seasons prior. It's positive still, but it's not been as positive as it usually is. So that is something that maybe will have a lesser effect, but obviously I still put it.
Also got the first Clippers home court. Well, not home court, sorry, but they'll have games in their new stadium, their new arena. Be interesting, different environment for that.
Yeah. You've segued me nicely there, Louis, because that was going to be, I think in general, this series is going to be very, very good. I'll be very surprised. I think anyone would be surprised if this is a 4-0 either way or a gentleman's sweep either way. I see this going 6 at minimum, potentially a 7-game series in the first round. Primarily as well, I don't know, like you said, the Nuggets home court hasn't been as good this year. This will be the first sort of the atmosphere in the Clippers for those first 2 games. I'll be amazed if the Nuggets steal any of them. I think the Clippers will take the first 2. I could see the Clippers maybe snagging one in the first 2 at Denver. But then again, I always lean on these ones when I'm really torn. The best player in this series is the Joker, but this is the best I've seen Kawhi play in about 5 years. Like, he looks unbelievable. This is like Raptors end of season Kawhi, where I can't believe how good he looks in games at the minute. On the other side of this, Zubac is playing very well as well. I've seen James Harden in the playoffs enough times now to know what I'm going to get from James Harden in these playoffs. He's going to have a game where he's unbelievable, and then he's going to have a game where he's unbelievably terrible. Jamal Murray doesn't look 100%, but Jamal Murray always steps it up in the playoffs as well. So there's so many factors here that lean on either way. I'm going to go. Oh, it's so hard. Genuinely, I can't. This is one where it's a 7-game series either way.
Yeah, I think it's a 7.
And the real beneficiaries of this being a 7 are the Thunder, because they're going to go through in 4 or 5 at a max. And they're just going to be chilling. And they won't be grueling games. They'll be getting past them quite comfortably. These games will be slogs. I don't think there's not going to be a 20-point game in these, I don't think, in terms of a blowout early doors or anything like that.
You never know.
You never know.
Are weird.
Again, agreed. Potentially so. Like, if the Nuggets are slow getting out of the gates, I can see the Clippers. I'm going to go. I just think it's going to be heartbreak for Clippers again. I do. I just think Joker's going to carry them. I'm going to go Denver in 7, and I'm just going to say that. I think that because ultimately, when it's that tight and I can see it going either way, I think you got the best player in the Jokic, and it's just going to fall on that. I think he's going to drag them through.
What I would say as well is, obviously, Louis talked about the roster. The fact the playoffs is not as much of an issue because you usually just go to your 7-8 man rotation. I will say, even at that, Denver's struggling. But
agreed.
They do have quite a lot of size, Denver, which I think matches up quite nicely against the Clippers. So even though they haven't got the best defenders, as Louis pointed out, you haven't really got a quote unquote stopper. Like, for example, if the Thunder played against the Clippers, you look at that roster, you're like, oh, okay, we've got some real talent against the Clippers' best players here. I don't think it's great for Denver, but their size will help them out.
Agreed. I think we'll go with Denver in 7, and we'll move over onto this series where we're obviously talking about sort of a team that's, had the biggest trade, possibly, I think the biggest trade ever during a season. The team has completely changed. 50 wins for JJ Redick in his first year for the Lakers. In comparison, the Timberwolves, which have been still good, but a disappointment based off of last year's season, I think is fair to say. I don't think that's unfair criticism that's there. But then in recent times, Rudy Gobert, credit where credit's due. Gobert's been pretty unbelievable the last 2-3 weeks of the season. So with all that said, I'll go first in this one, obviously, as I had the decider in the last. I'm going for Lakers in 5. So that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Timberwolves really would not have been happy when they've seen who they've ended up against here. I think this is a really bad matchup for. This is basically Rudy Gobert's worst nightmare, if I'm honest. Because what it is your disadvantage is that the Lakers love playing small, so Rudy's going to be in a lot of trouble. And then your advantage on the other end is partly the Lakers don't have a ton of people to guard, and because their guard defenders aren't the greatest, so they'll throw some bigger guys at him, but it's not like the traditional matchups you'd want. But the main thing is you're looking at Rudy to take advantage of his mismatch. Well, that's just not happening. That's just not the type of player he is. I'm not saying he's a bum.
I can't lie. He had a 35-point game against Brooklyn. Like this is the best defense of Rudy. I know. But and you know me. How many years have we been doing this podcast now? We talk about this, and it's me in this scenario. This is the best offensive Rudy Gobert I've seen in half a decade.
Yeah, I just don't think it's enough to take advantage of the mismatch they'll have there. So I do think I don't think it's going to be like a super one team smashes the other series. But when you've got LeBron and Luka on one side, I just think, and Austin Reeves been playing really well. The firepower has just been insane from them. So I am going to go with the Lakers while saying 6.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is a bad matchup. I had confidence that if they came up against Nuggets, they could make this a series, as they did last year, as they knocked them out. To be honest, obviously it's a different team now, without Towns, with Randall. I saw a stat that was quite interesting, actually. That obviously the Timberwolves last season were number 1 defensive rating in the league. They slipped a bit this year to I think 4 or 5. But their offense went up from 15th to 6th or 7th, which was quite interesting to me. But aside from that, Luka Doncic is on the other side of this. On the other side of this coin, obviously LeBron James is on the other side of this coin, but Luka Doncic in particular killed the Timberwolves last year. That's going to be something that they're not gonna. That's going to be playing on their mind. Like you said, the matchup just isn't great in terms of what it will do to Gobert. He's going to be played off the court. He can't play in this series, really. You'll be seeing a lot more Nas. I'm going to give him 2. I'm going to give the Wolves 2 games because I do think they do have some, they've got some size. The way they take a couple games is basically throw their athletic, sort of sizey people at LeBron and Luka and try and tire them out and see what Austin Reeves can do. And he could probably win you a game by himself quite comfortably anyway, but I'll give him 2 just because my beloved myself.
I think Ant will be able to take advantage.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as well, won't it? Ant versus LeBron. He doesn't seem to care about those types. Obviously, against KD last year, he showed no remorse in sort of going for him. But yeah, I think that this is not the matchup they would have liked. But it's how it cookie crumbles.
Agreed. We'll go Lakers in 6. Personally, I do think Lakers in 5. As much as the joke is there, I do think it'll be Lakers in 5. But we'll go Lakers in 6, and we'll stroll on down to the Rockets that we've got them playing the Warriors. And I'm happy to go first in this one. And I'll be completely honest here. I think Warriors in 5. I don't rate Houston for this.
I would be very surprised if the odds aren't going to be in the Warriors' favour for this.
I think it'll be evens. I think it'll be a 50-50 split.
Houston are the unknown entity here. Obviously, I think Draymond Green will be looking at Şengün thinking, obviously Şengün's a great player, but I think he's probably thinking to himself, he's probably a bit soft. I'll be able to rough him up a little bit. And then Jalen Green's an incredibly streaky player, but the Rockets just have a full squad of dogs. They will wear the Warriors down. I think that will play into their favour massively. The Warriors are not a young team, or they have some young players, but they have quite a lot of their stars are aging now. I think the Warriors will Rockets will get after them, and I think this is more what I'd like to see. I would like to see the Rockets beat them, to be honest. So I'm going to go with the Rockets.
Oof.
Anyway, but is that because you like it? Is that because you like the Rockets to beat them, or do you think that the Rockets are going to beat them?
I think it's up in the air, to be honest. It depends what Rockets come out, but I can see how the Rockets could win the series, and I don't want to just pick the ones everyone's going to play. I've basically done that already. So
That's-
this will be one.
hey,
where,
that's fair.
I know this
That's
is like,
fair.
he's picking the 2 seed. What an unbelievable pick that is. But I think most people are going. I don't know what the betting odds will be, as you say, but I think most people would pick the Warriors. So I'm going to go
again. Only 38% of fans
Yeah.
have picked them. So
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
I'm getting strong. Do you remember the Kings played the Warriors a couple of years ago? Vibes from this series where like you just knew sort of, well, the Kings, it was a bit different. They hadn't been there for years and years, but the Rockets have been out of this picture for a while. We would say young team. That home court will be very, very good. I quite like the Warriors. I'm sorry, but it's not even just like a thing of like experience and stuff like that I'm going for. I've actually kind of liked their interseason. A couple of games, obviously that Spurs one is poor. I just think the Jimmy Butler thing kind of rejuvenated them all a little bit, and I do just think they've got people to lean on offensively. Where I'm not sure who that'd be for Houston. I don't know who that's going to be.
I don't think we've said enough. I know we brought it up a couple of times. That Spurs loss was genuinely terrible. Like season alteringly terrible. But the one thing I do like about the Warriors, and it's the same reason I like the Nuggets a lot of the time when things are up in the air, is until they fired the coach. It does feel like there's certain teams where you are really putting the responsibility on a couple of players to figure things out, whereas there's other teams like, and I think the Nuggets and the Warriors fall into this, where there are systems in place where they can rely on them to generate the offense they need.
Yeah.
And the Warriors just have that. They have had that for years. And so do the Nuggets. Nuggets is a bit more just because they've got Jokic, but it's the same sort of thing. So that I do like that they can lean on that, but I just want to go with the Rockets because
that's completely fair.
We'll make it close. We'll make it close.
I'm gonna just drop a few things on you here, just because this is actually one of the ones that I think if when it comes to it, and if the Warriors obviously do make this series, because it could be the Grizzlies, we could be completely wrong here. And I would probably actually change my viewpoint. I think if the Grizzlies played this series, I'd have
the Rockets would beat them.
Yeah.
But
if the if how I've got this going and it's being the Warriors here, I'm going Warriors in 5. And it's primarily because this Houston team never beats this Golden State team. They're 3-17 in their last 20. I know it's a different outlook, don't get me wrong, but it's that mental state if they just don't beat them. I think it will be the same case again here. And I know Ime is a great coach and all this stuff. Fred VanVleet's been very disappointing this season. Jalen Green is an unbelievably streaky player. He'll have one game where he gets 40 points. He'll have another where he gets 8. I don't see Jimmy Butler losing his first playoff series. And I know that the play-in won't really count to that. I don't see Jimmy Butler losing his first playoff series with the Warriors. I really don't. And most importantly, this Rockets team is so bad at defending point guards, especially ball-heavy dominant point guards, which granted is most of the league. And who do Golden State have? Probably the best point guard, arguably, of all time. So I just see Steph going absolutely nuts in this series and Jimmy and Draymond just getting in Dylan Brooks' head and it being a complete and utter nightmare.
I think it'll be a foul. I think this...
I didn't know how bad that head was on one of the line.
Yeah.
But, I will
it can all change. It can all change.
Again, in a playoff series, they're 3-17 in the last however many regular season games. I just think it's going to be the fact of that, fuck's sake, we've got to play these again and we never beat.
This should be a fiery series as well, as Louis said. Like I know you talked about before, Clippers in the new stadium and their fans going to be wild. Yeah, okay, what fans? But the Rockets fans should be up for this. So I will
fired at the Clippers.
Yeah.
Not wrong.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, great.
I would say Warriors in 5, but would you rather me say 6?
I'm tempted for Warriors in 5.
If you two both go with that, then just go for that. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I wasn't really pulling for the Rockets winning. Like, I'm not.
No, you was doing the alternate pick, and I appreciate it.
And that's fair. I'm not going to sit there, and if people are 33 minutes into this podcast already, it means you're probably going to stay around for the whole entire bracket. I'm not going to sit there and waste your time on this one. This is Cavs v whoever it is in 4. Magic might get a game. But that's a massive might.
The Atlanta Hawks, I believe. Oh, no, it was the Atlanta Hawks, we said.
Yeah, we had the Hawks, sorry. Yeah. And that will be a 4-0 sweep. Thank you very much. See you later.
Yeah.
Pacers
save that one. We'll save that one. We'll go to
we'll come back to that one. This is the juiciest. This is the juiciest of them all in the first round, I think.
Sixers Knicks last year, man.
This is the juiciest one of them all. I understand why Nuggets Clippers is sexy, and that'll be a sloggy game. This Knicks Pistons one is the one I'm most excited to see because this Knicks team, and again, I know I've gone first on the last one, and I won't go first on the next one. This Knicks team, they're not it. They're not the same Knicks team that they were last year. Whereas I was kind of confident this is Tibbs, heavy minutes, grit and grind. This Pistons team's going to come there and sock them right in the mouth. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah,
they're
what I
going to
will
do
say
that.
is, before we get into this, do you want to just scroll down one, put Celtics 4, and then we'll carry on with the conversation?
Yeah, we'll just do that one again. So, same sort of thing. That's what we can do in the East.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that terrifies me in this one is the Knicks somehow have sort of now got the experience on their side from this one. It still feels weird to me talking about a Knicks team that's actually good. And I'm not disrespecting the Knicks in any way when I'm talking about it in this sense. They're a good basketball team. It's undeniable. I just think that the momentum really is with Detroit going into this. I think that Cade is, and I don't like the sort of most improved player of the year stuff for Cade. I'm not going to lie. He's a top 3 pick in the draft. I'm not having that sort of stuff that he's now.
The way they do that award is just nonsense.
I'm not having that stuff. He should be at this level. He was a bit disappointed in his first year with all the injuries and stuff, but whatever. This is going to be an unbelievable. If this is a 4-0 sweep, I'll be absolutely gutted, and the game that I love is gone. There's no way it will be. Like that first home game for Detroit, they are going to be. It's also so obvious, though, that there's going to be times if Jalen Duren gets 2 fouls inside the first minute of that quarter against Karl-Anthony Towns, that game's lost. That's the one thing that does concern me. Because he is an unbelievable X factor for them, but he's such an idiot for defending at times with personal fouls. I think this is going to be a Knicks in 6, but it's going to be very close in all the games.
I really tend to agree with you actually on that one, because I don't think the Knicks. It's hard to say disappointing. I just don't feel like they utilize everyone, like particularly Mikal Bridges. I have no clue why they traded about 4 first-round picks to have this man do absolutely nothing the entire time. And I know I've just not been impressed with the Tibbs coaching job that much. I feel like he could be a little bit of a hot seat candidate after this if things don't go well. I'm just saying because last year I think they kind of flaked out because his just determination to get his players playing every single minute available it just harms them so much. But in this case, I just don't think he's figured the offense out greatly. At the moment, anyway. But I do think they probably have a little bit too much experience and quality for this, like the Pistons over the course of it. But I do think Detroit will make it hard. And if there's any, I guess, if we're not counting the Warriors and the Rockets as like an upset, really, on the odds on, I think this probably is the closest we may get to an upset.
Yeah, I agree with everything you two said. So I can just pop the Knicks in.
Nice. Yeah, again, I think that the sad thing on this one, and I completely agree, I just don't see a way in which one of those two out of Brunson and Cat drags them into this. Like, I think Brunson will be very, very good. Like he's been I know he's coming off that injury, but Brunson always steps it up in there. But that's one that I'm really looking forward to watching.
Yeah, I agree.
Games would be great. Another one with deep sort of history and background and rivalries, the Who Stole My Ball matchup that we've got right here. I think Dame is cleared to return, but it's not for game 1. That's what I said. The thing from Underdog said that Dame will be back for the first round of the playoffs, but they didn't say game 1 or game 2 or what. So I don't know what level of Dame we're going to get here, but I'm not going to lie. Even if Dame isn't here, I'm going to take the Bucks.
Yeah, so am I, because as you said, you don't know if Dame's going back or not and what Dame are going to get. Well, I will say, without Dame, I'll tell you what, Giannis we've got, and he's been at least the second best player in the league over this stretch that Dame's not been here, arguably the best over that short period. He has been unbelievable, Giannis, and I think he carries them through this series.
I'm gonna say the Bucks win, but I think it will be close because this series always is close because the Bucks can't guard point guards. Halliburton, even if he is just so frustrating sometimes, he always has a game against this team because they just can't defend him. And the Bucks on transition defense are so bad. I'm not sure if I read an article about it earlier today, but it's like so glaring. They just don't get back on transition, and the fastest paced team in the league is
Yeah.
the Indiana Pacers, and I just think that's probably a reason why they do so well against them. But maybe when they lock in, and I'm going to pick the best player here, they would have probably beaten the Pacers last year if Giannis didn't get injured. I'm agreeing. I don't think the Dame factor is that much for me. So yeah, I'll go for the Bucks as well.
The presiding thing with this, and I agree, I think Halliburton will have himself a game, but Halliburton hasn't been as good as he was for the whole season. After All-Star weekend, he did turn it up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I think Siakam and Turner will chip in and they'll have good games at points as well. But the thing that really tipped it for me is whenever we have these discussions about walling up on Giannis, and it's just been in the playoffs, you can wall up against him, you can sort of set a defense out, and it's a bit easier to stop. I will say, for as much as I can meme Doc Rivers and all the stuff that he's ever done, the last sort of 15 games when they haven't had Lillard there, they have found something that works. Because on April 12th, so after this penultimate game of the season, I don't think Giannis played in that final game of the season. I think it was just Kuzma that was out there in the main starting core.
He had an absurd game, by the way.
Yeah, he did. Over the last 6 games before the penultimate game of the season, Giannis was on 31.8 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, and 11.8 assists per game. That is, they're Jokic numbers for a man that's playing at the 4/5 and that can run at sort of 40 mile an hour down the court. So,
yeah,
I just can't see the way that this Giannis is right now, and he's fully healthy. I can't see anything but Bucks in. I'd be tempted to go 5, but I'll err on caution and say 6.
I go 6. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our conference semi-finals locked in. We'll scroll back up to the West. Thunder Nuggets. Where are we going?
The Thunder are going to beat them.
I think the Thunder are going to beat them as well. But I will say I think it's going to be a tough one for them. But I think the Clippers series is going to be such a slog for them. They've already got a thin roster. The Thunder come in with all their young players, lengthy guys, great defense. I just think they're just going to wear them out.
Yeah, I agree. They've got, and we talked about like when the playoffs comes, obviously the players who actually play thin out a little bit. So this talk of the Thunder having this great overall roster, maybe it's not as much of a benefit in the playoffs, but I do think it will benefit them in some stage that they have a lot of good players.
Yeah.
And Denver just don't.
Plus minus.
Sorry,
just to jump in, the plus minus on the benches for this series will be.
That's insane, isn't it? Yeah, isn't without Jokic, they'd be like the worst defense, the worst offense for like 10, 15 years or something like that without Jokic. It's something mental.
Yeah, and obviously there's some things that is their game plan and their way they play is oriented. So that is going to have more an effect on them than other teams. But even with that being said, the drop off is just insane.
Yeah,
I really struggle with this one because I'd like to. My whole thing is I don't think this Thunder team are as dominant as they look, and I do think that they're going to get unstuck in this thing. The issue is, I think this here, the 4th and 5th seeding, is going to take so much out of either team that comes through, whereas they're going to come through completely unscathed and they're not going to be tired at all or worn out. I think that'll play such a big factor. I'm going to have the Thunder. If this was a Nuggets team that I would go, or a Clippers team that I think would go through 4-0, I would pick either one of them. I'd say that now quite comfortably. I would have either the Clippers or the Nuggets to beat the Thunder. But I think
the Nuggets have got a better chance than the Clippers do. I think the Thunder will deal with the Clippers.
I kind of agree with you, to be fair.
I don't know. I think this will be... The Nuggets ain't getting swept, and they're not getting gentlemen swept. If I'm going for this, I could say Thunder in 6 is where I could go.
Yeah, I'm going to go 6. As I said, I don't think the home court's going to be as big a thing for Denver this season and this postseason as it has been. Because a lot of the time, I think when everyone saw Denver in a postseason of the last couple of seasons, you wouldn't have it ending in their building. And obviously, last season,
I could almost see
this time. I think the Thunder can win games in Denver's building.
I can almost see the way, and we've had playoff series like this before, so this could be either me looking incredibly stupid or me looking like a seasoned pro talking about the NBA here. But I think the intensity that's going to be in these two games versus what they're going to get in this, I could see the Nuggets taking game 1 in their building. I could see them coming into it and just rolling them because they're on such that of intensity of games that they go in there, they hit the Thunder in the mouth, and then the Thunder wake up and they come back in game 2, game 3, game 4.
I mean, as we've said, the issue with the Nuggets is as well. Obviously, they could come out. The vibes are shocking. They're all downtrodden. Michael Porter Jr. thinks people want him traded. Coach obviously been fired, and they fall apart. We don't know. So
agreed.
We're just going off what we've seen.
Agreed. We'll go Lakers in 6. We'll go Thunder in 6, and then we'll move on to the Lakers playing the Golden State Warriors. The Adam Silver dream conference semi-finals. He could only wish it was a conference finals, but he'll get the matchup, I feel, here. And again, this one here, you're going to have blockbuster games no matter what. I think all of these will be entertaining. You might get 1 or 2 blowouts at some stage towards the back end of it, but ultimately speaking, I'm going Lakers in 5 again. Genuinely isn't even a meme at that point. I'm saying Lakers in 5.
Yeah, I mean, this is the real small ball of this because both of them want to play that way. I just think this is going to be Luka's series, I think. So I'm going to go with the Lakers, yeah.
I would go with the Lakers as well. And also, I don't know if you remember a playoff series a couple of years ago where Draymond was famously just so lacking in intensity because he was guarding his best mate LeBron. Just doesn't come with the same type of vim to people.
Do that for God's sake.
He does. He doesn't come with the same type of venom. He just doesn't. He doesn't try as much.
Okay. Anyway, all right, we'll go Lakers in 5, and then we'll switch on down to the East here. I'll tell you what, boys, this is where I'm going to struggle because I feel we're gonna disagree here. I've made it public that I don't think that the Thunder are as good as they make out to be. And I'm damn sure I don't think the Cavs are as good as they make it out to be, especially in crunch time moments. I'm saying now, this is where I'm going to go with this one. If Dame is back in this series at any stage and he is fully ready to go against the Cavs, give me the Bucks in 6. That's where I'll be. I'm planting my flag there because I'm not trusting Evan Mobley or Jared Allen in playoff games. I'm not. And again, I know I'm picking a team with Kyle Kuzma in it. And I'm not trusting Darius Garland in the game. I like DeAndre Hunter. I like Max Strus. But I'm not... and I like Donovan Mitchell, don't get me wrong. Donovan Mitchell could easily...
Honestly, the fact you said you didn't like Darius Garland and willed those next two up is outrageous.
Yeah. Well, I was building up to the point. Donovan Mitchell can give these 50 points a night. That's my one concern. But I also think they're not stopping Giannis in any scenario. Evan Mobley can get in foul trouble. Jared Allen's going to get in foul trouble. Give me the Bucks in 6.
So my issue with that is I look at the two teams, and I did just check this because I thought it was probably the case. I look at these two teams and I see, okay, Giannis is the big issue on the Bucks. What have we got for him? Okay, we've got Evan Mobley, young, tall, full of energy. Jared Allen, rim protector. As much as you can have to stop Giannis, that's not bad. I then look at, okay, what have we got on the Cavs side? Who are their weapons? I see Donovan Mitchell and I think, okay, well, what have the Bucks got against him? And the answer is absolutely nothing. So I just think this is horror matchup. I checked and the Cavs have swept them for the season. I thought that was going to be the case. I think this is a diabolical matchup.
Don't get me wrong. I'm fully aware. The Cavs have actually beaten the Bucks the last 6 times in a row. So I'm aware in which the stupidity of my statement is here.
You look at a Mobley and a Jared Allen, you think, okay, not so much Mobley, but Jared Allen, maybe you can get him out of his comfort zone. And then you're like, okay, well, Giannis isn't, like, what are you going to do? You're bringing him out from underneath the basket. Obviously, Giannis is Giannis and he's unstoppable to a degree, so he's going to get his. He's going to have a couple monster games. But I just think as a whole, looking at the teams, the Cavs have just got what you want to try and stop the Bucks, and they've definitely got what you want to take advantage of the defensive frailties of the Bucks.
Yeah. I think ultimately this is me thinking that Dame is going to be back fully healthy. I will say that. And I think he will be.
To me that much. It just doesn't matter to me that
you
much.
Don't think Damian Lillard is the factor in that?
The problem
is factor, but I'm just
he's a factor. But
he's the factor.
The matchup is so bad And I'm not gonna lie, without him, Giannis has been so unbelievable. He has since Dame has been out. Giannis has been the best player in the NBA. Like he is
Yeah,
genuinely
he has.
on a
Agreed.
tear.
He has.
And does that stay the same when Dame comes back? I think it'll probably regress a little bit again. So obviously, I think they're probably a better team with Dame in, but I just don't think it's to the point where it would swing me towards the Bucks.
Okay, right. So give me what is it? Cavs in what?
5.
I'd be tempted to become some 5. I'm not gonna lie.
Damn. Okay. I mean, hey, we're a majority around here. Do you know what I mean? Cavs in 5. It is what it is. Bing bong. Knicks Celtics. Oh, we got it again. I'll tell you what. By the way,
Celtics murder the Knicks.
yeah,
every single
I
time they
agreed.
play.
But by the way, what a Adam Silver. If you're asking for us to write you a script, Thunder Nuggets,
Hipster.
Lakers Warriors, Cavs Bucks,
Hipster.
Knicks Celtics.
No, that's the Blood Thunder. That's the Blood and Thunder series.
Shall I just do that or not?
You know what?
Yes.
I would say 5, but if you two want to say sweet, then go for it.
I think
I
they
can't
probably
lie.
get one. I think they get one.
Okay, we'll go. Yeah, we'll give him 1. I think Karl Anthony Towns might have a game where he's like unbelievable and Porzingis covers up, but also
no, he's been terrible against them. Horror matchup for them, by the way.
agreed.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's a horror matchup. But it's also the fact of just like I genuinely could see the Celtics almost not doing it, but resting one of those like games.
Do you know what it is? It's not just that. I do think there are times where the Celtics are capable of just some of their players. Either Porzingis gets injured, obviously, or one of their players has a really bad game. Like they can have
Jaylen Brown's apparently playing through like he's having like knee injections.
Yeah.
He hasn't been very good this season, has he?
The thing is, the team as a whole is just so good.
Tatum's been amazing.
Yeah, Tatum has been amazing. Conference finals times.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think the script writers could have made this one up. The sort of best regular season team we've seen in some time against the Luka Doncic and LeBron James. LeBron James back in the conference finals for potentially his last ever season. This is what we say every year at the minute with LeBron. And that's what will be said. Don't get me wrong. If this is happening, it will be this could be the last time we ever see LeBron James in the conference finals. Is he going to go out? Is he going to die on his sword? Or is he going to take them to the NBA finals? Louis Halpin, I'm going to you first.
It's a tough one because obviously if we're going off the same mantra of the best player is on the Lakers. It definitely is. But
the MVP's playing for the Thunder, Louis. The MVP's at the Thunder.
I don't think he should be MVP, but I don't think he's that far off. And he was good last year in the playoffs. What I think you feel with the Thunder and what you feel with the Cavs, and I think this is fair, is that we haven't seen anyone else bar their best players really prove it. We've still got real questions about who the second scoring option is on both of these teams. I think Evan Mobley and Jalen Williams, and they're like, I don't know if these guys are going to be able to pick it up. I think the Thunder have so many guys that they can throw at Luka. And I know you're never going to really, really stop him, but I think you're going to tire him down a bit. And I think they've got the opportunity to go big. They can go small. They've got just so many players, man. I said this when, what did the Thunder end on regular season wise? 68,
I think. 68 or 69 is one of the two.
There's not many teams in NBA history that have won that many regular season games and not gone to the NBA finals. I'd be shocked if it's any more than 2 or 3.
I had a look. I think it might be 1. I think it might only be 1. I'm not sure. Though.
69 wins is absurd. Like, that's an insane level of domination. I'm not entirely sure if I can remember them. Oh, no, the Lakers did trounce them a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you want me to quickly jump in, there is a stat I saw. And it is that against, I think there's 3 teams in the West against them, and the Lakers are 1. They are even. And against the rest of the league, it is like absolutely insane how much. Like, it is like 60 and 5.
And Luka only joined halfway through the season.
Come on, boys. So where are you going?
I'm gonna go for the Thunder. I think it will be very, very close. I can see it going either way. But I just think history and mathematics will tell you the Thunder probably make it to the NBA finals here.
Thunder in what? Thunder in what? Thunder in what? Thunder in 7. So Adam Silver's happy either way, is what we're
Oh,
saying.
he'd be very happy with this playoffs, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So, the way I see this here, when I watched that regular season game, the two towards the back end of the season, you saw obviously the Lakers storm into their gym and hit an obscene amount of threes, and they won that game quite comfortably. And then the Thunder obviously took it personally on the next game and split the series there. I think the Lakers will need to play lights out in order to win this game. I don't think Shea will get the whistle that he's been getting in the regular season. And that's not a slight dig at him. He does get a lot of free throws. And so does every MVP every year. So does Luka Doncic. But I do think this will be a 6-game series. Potentially 7. Potentially. And I'm actually just going to share this. So as you can see, NBA viewership is up this season on ABC in general. And it's been a sort of well-known documented thing that viewership has been down in recent years. But obviously, there's been an uptick on it. And I think that's obviously as a result of the Luka Doncic trade. I think this is a 7-game series. And Adam Silver does not allow anything apart from Lakers in 7. So that's where I'd go. So I'm going for the Lakers.
I know you're going to pick the Lakers.
And this Thunder team get called frauds at the end of it as well. I'm going to say that.
Well, they'd have to be, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
they'd have to be.
I don't. What if they went to 7 against the Lakers in the?
If they won 69 games in the regular season, you don't make the finals, man. You're going to get slated. I think that's.
And then that's where. And Louis, and do you know what happens? Do you know what happens then? You go into the off season and they trade for Kevin Durant, and then we move from there.
Yeah, probably that'd be class, actually.
Yeah, this is tough because as you say that the game the Lakers won in the regular season, I do think both teams really wanted to win that game. I know the Thunder came back and kind of punched them back, but I do think the Lakers were they've got a lot more going into that first April game they won. I do have a lot of faith in Luka and LeBron in the playoffs, more so than I would have anyone on the Thunder, even though I do think the Thunder are the better overall team, and I do think Shea will play well in the playoffs. Side note, actually, when we're talking about the MVP conversation and how every MVP gets calls, I will say I've seen Jokic get beaten up and not get calls for quite a while, so I think he might be the outlier there.
Yeah, because he's not getting that's why.
The unfortunate thing is then you think about someone presenting you a script that says Lakers Celtics finals, and you're like, oh. You know what? If that against Game 7, calls may be made. I'm going to go with heart over head here, to be honest. I'm just going to say the Lakers instead.
I could have sat there and gone OKC, UFC, KFC, Lakers in 5 is how I would have sat there. But I'm not going to do that. I do think it'll be at least a 6-game series. But again, and we sit here and talk about this. Who's the best player in this series? Luka Doncic. Who's the second best player in a playoff game series? It's LeBron James. I'm not having Shea. It is LeBron James. They have the 2 best players in a playoff series. They do.
It's very close.
I would change it at least to who would you trust the most out of Shea and LeBron, and it would be LeBron for me at the conference finals. But
it's until he proves it, right? It's until he proves it. So it's hard to say
exactly
that.
I agree.
It's
going to be unbelievably hilarious when we look back on this and we've seen Anthony Edwards drop 60 points in them every night and took the Timberwolves against the Lakers. But okay, we'll go Lakers in 7, and that fills me with. I quite like the idea of. Do you know what? I want. Give us the fucking script. All right, we got the Cavs and the Celtics. We're not going to waste time on this, are we? Please don't tell me you're going to fight me on Cavs Celtics.
No.
There's no way. Yeah.
I don't know how many games. I have to say that. That's the one thing.
I would say Celtics in 5. I'm not going to lie.
I'm feeling a Celtics 5 as well. I'm going to be honest.
This isn't going 6 or 7.
I don't have a strong feeling.
I might be doing the Cavs a disservice there.
But we're not, because we do this the Cavs are a good team, but when the Celtics are on it and they're in a conference finals and they're at home and the fucking video comes in with the triangles and the pyramids and there's that atmosphere in the Garden, there's no way the Celtics are getting done. The Cavs are not taking a game inside TD Garden. That's a fact.
Always a big proponent of teams don't get back to the NBA finals like consecutive seasons, but just looking at the route that the Celtics have here, it's just, it's quite,
this is the call that's been made to get NBA viewership back on top. It's a Lakers Celtics finals. How on earth have you sat, if you sat through this for basically an hour at this point, and you've seen us pick Lakers Celtics, you're going to think we don't know anything about the sport. We just pick it because they're the two biggest teams. Because we've left the two best teams, the Thunder and the Cavs, losing.
But you say
here.
that though. I do think most people would leave.
No one thinks that.
Like, I'd be shocked.
No one thinks the Cavs are going to beat the Celtics, do they?
No. Than the Celtics. Like, come on.
I bet Kendrick Perkins thinks that, but we'll talk about it at a different time. NBA Finals, Lakers Celtics. Now, this is where, unfortunately, if I'm being honest, as much as I'd love to see LeBron win another one and another Luka and a Luka chip in his first season, this is where I think the Lakers don't win it, and they're like, we're there, but we're just short, and then they make moves in the off season.
I'm gonna throw out a thing here. I think the Celtics have a harder time against the Thunder than the Lakers. I think they definitely have a hard time against the Thunder than the Lakers. I
Definitely.
I think the Celtics win. I don't think they win. I don't think it's like an easy win, but I do think it's like they feel like they're in control of the series the whole way. I think this is going to be.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm out of my comfort zone because this is not the finals I would have predicted. So
For me, if it goes to this, I think this is where Jason Tatum gets his Finals MVP. That's how I'd see it. I think
you're probably right.
If I'm going on this, and I'm not going with my heart here, and I'm going with my head, this is a Celtics in 5 and a Jason Tatum Finals MVP.
Where's Porzingis these days?
Yeah, I was about to say if Porzingis really hopes he's healthy for this finals because he is going to be feasting.
Yeah, I mean, if he isn't, we're talking like 30 minutes for our Holford. What was that?
I'm just calling.
I mean, you
it
can
as
go
it
small,
is.
but
I don't think he's got a big enough ego to sort of say this. I'm saying now, there's no way Jason Tatum will allow the fact that he could get to 2 NBA Finals, win 2 NBA Finals, and not get an MVP in either of them.
Oh yeah, when I talk about Porzingis there, that wasn't in the conversation of Finals MVP. That was a separate point. I just think Porzingis in this matchup would have a very good series if he could stay.
By the way, I'm still undecided. I'm still undecided.
Sorry, yeah. I mean, Louis,
I don't know. I don't know if it's.
I do think this would be for Tatum to get a Finals MVP and do it over LeBron. I think that would be the thing that like elevates him onto the next level.
It cements him as one of the greatest. Yeah, and I think that will give him, as long as he doesn't do a load of cringe after it, I think that was what will give him a load of
Of course he do a load of cringe. The thing is, he's anything people.
That's like Arsenal. That's like Arsenal beating around.
Oh, here we go. Louis left the chat after that.
The thing is, I feel a bit sorry for him because whatever he would do would be considered cringe. Do you know what I mean? He could do anything in the world and it would be cringe.
No,
but he's also very cringe as well.
Yeah, he is very cringe. I don't think it'll be. I think there'll be your general meme accounts on Twitter that will try and do it. But I mean, there's no way around it. Last year, he just sort of ripped off about 5 people's savings, and that's why it was done. But I wouldn't. If he wins a Finals MVP and he's very emotional, all that stuff, I think that you go back to back and you win it and you get an MVP that time. It's understandable.
Yeah, I will say, as Louis said, I'm not super comfortable with predicting a back to back because they just don't happen.
I don't like it, but
I tend to agree. But this Celtics team, if they're all fully healthy, I can't see anyone stopping that.
That's my main concern, though. Are they all fully healthy? If Porzingis is not there, then I'm not dubious, but I mean, you got LeBron who's 40, you know.
I agree, but whenever we sit and do these predictions, we always.
Yeah, I know. I'm assuming Kawhi is going to play us full 7-game series.
Yeah,
I'll pick the Celtics. It wouldn't be a dynasty if you win back to back. It's just impressive, but we need a bit of a villain, don't we? And they'd certainly be the villain if they were to win this.
I think, and the way that I think as well, when that trade happened for the Lakers, I think we all said it made the Lakers a serious contender, but we all said they are still missing that piece. Yeah. I think this will be they're very, very good, and no one will be like, oh my god, what a bottle from Luka and LeBron and all of this stuff. If they make the finals, it's an unbelievable season for the Lakers, regardless of what's happened.
What I would say about that is, if they do make the finals, they play against Celtics, and Luka really struggles again. I do think people have stuff to say about that. Obviously, it won't be that the Lakers bottled it, but I think people will say, "Oh, he's come up against this Celtics team again, and he's not performed."
Too many Modelos.
I will say I think that's absolute rubbish, and that he has been a very, very good playoff performer in the playoff games he has played. But I'm just saying that there will be some discourse with that.
I think that will be, but ultimately, the point I was saying, I think it will be that sort of. This will be the point where they go. They've made that trade for Luka. They're one piece off, and then they'll win. And I think that's where we'll be for it. I would say Celtics in 6 is probably where I'd go. I don't think it'll be a 7-game series. I think Luka and LeBron are good enough to go for it.
Yeah.
What I will say is, if we had them playing the Thunder, would either of you two have the Thunder beating the Celtics then?
I think
I would be tempted. I would be tempted, yeah. I think I'd be...
That's not... both of you have sat on the fence there. Would you have the Thunder beating the Celtics?
I think I'd still,
No,
I think
I
I'd still
would.
go I'd still go the Celtics, but as I said, I do think the Thunder Celtics would be a closer series than Lakers Celtics.
Yeah, I think ultimately the Celtics are... I think no one in the East is going to really trouble the Celtics. I think we're all agreed on that one from where we said in 5, in 4, in 5. So I think the Celtics are going to have a pretty easy time. Whereas regardless in this one, I think whoever makes it out of the conference semis and then the conference finals, they're getting slogs on the way, which I think is going to help them as well.
As I said, the drop off from the playoff teams to the play-ins teams in the West is just insane. I think there is such a gap between some of the better, quite a lot of the playoff teams this year, that whoever you play there, you're just going to get a hard game. Like, even if you don't believe in the Rockets, for example, that they're like, no, let's say frauds, not really frauds, but you know what I mean? They are going to come at you. They're young, they're energetic. Like, it's going to be a hard game regardless.
Agreed. And there it is in all its glory, our NBA pick and bracket challenge. Congratulations. We've sat here for an hour and 5 minutes and predicted a back-to-back champions. It is some skill to do that right there.
Yeah.
I think
really
would we again? But ultimately, do you know what I mean? We can only do what we think, and we've sat there and we've been honest and we've given our reasons for it. I'm sure that if you're watching this as well, there'll probably reasons why you're shouting at. Go on, though.
I'd blame the Eastern Conference more than us, to be honest.
Agreed.
Would be my retort to that anyway. But the Cleveland Cavaliers maybe were a bit disrespectful, but yeah.
Potentially so, but again, if the Cavs do it, I'm not going to sit there and be like, "Damn, I was wrong." I'll be like, "Damn, I was wrong." I'm pleased to see this, but
Cavs Thunder finals instead of Celtics Lakers. Adam Silver absolutely on his knees.
Cavs Thunder finals, and Adam Silver is making a phone call because I think when we got that Suns one back in the day, it was like, "Oh no, we've got to make some adjustments here because we can't be doing this." But no, again, let's be honest. It's not going to be a Lakers Celtics final. We are going to get this wrong at some stage. It's just whatever happens. But that's the glory of the NBA playoffs, isn't it? In any case, we're going to wrap that one up there because we've been yattering. Is that a word? Yattering sort of word, is it?
I'd say yapping.
What am I thinking of with yattering? Chatting and yattering.
Nattering. You're probably nattering.
Nattering. That's where I was going for there, Louis. We've been nattering on for nearly an hour and 10 minutes on this bracket here. If you have enjoyed watching this video, and if you're listening to this on a podcast platform or wherever, let us know down below. Leave us a review. Let us know if there's a comment section as well where you disagree, who you've got making the conference finals, and who you've got winning the NBA finals. As truly, we would really like to know because we always like this when we do this as well. We will have some form of podcast out probably when the first round's done. I'll probably be honest in terms of we'll sit down and we'll assess the NBA playing in the first round and go from there and have a little chit chat on that. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.